Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and the biggest Blitzwing fanboy of them all. Do not panic. This is just a random review.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel, and yesterday I did the review for Earthspark Soundwave, and I feel like it's only fair if I do his wave mate, which is hashtag, and I feel like this one is kind of going unsung. I feel like you're kind of ignoring it because Soundwave is Soundwave and this is a Terran, but that doesn't mean it's a bad toy. I do think people are confusing it with being a retool of the Warrior class version, except it's not. Everything on the toy is 100% new, even the parts that look the same. Trust me, I've double checked. So we're going to take a look at it and give it a fair shake, see how this one turned out, and if you should be grabbing both when you happen to see a brand new wave at your store. It is the purple pickup truck that she turns into in Season 2. The ghost truck from Season 1 would have been nice, but this one I can conceive of being a little bit smaller than her original body, which is kind of important because, one, they do have to get it into a feminine shape in robot mode, kinda, but they also don't really care about the scale of the Terrans in the toy line. So this at least brings it a little bit more sensible to scale, kinda. I do like the shade of purple they used here. A little bit of a metallic sheen to it as well. I like it better than the super dark that Takara went with. Now, this might be a little inaccurate, but I tend to prefer it to be a little bit brighter. So that's not an issue for me. Light blue windows, I think, are fine. I like, those look fine, especially because this is a more cartoonish character. I don't mind things like that. Otherwise, typically I would go for like a black window. We get a little bit more of that blue here along the side to add a little bit of detailing. We also get it for the headlights. The turn signals are also painted. It's one of those little details I usually leave off, so glad to see those. Little bit of silver there in the front for the bumper as well, and then the black for the intake. That's a lot of paint on the front for an Earthspark toy. Yeah, and going toward the rims, all painted in gold. They are they're nice spin despite both of them being mushroom peg. So, very, very nice to see. Actually, this might be pinned now that I think about it. That might be pinned. I haven't looked to be sure. Okay, and then here on the back we have taillights that have been painted in red, and you can see where she is storing one of her weapons. So let me go ahead and we'll go ahead and take that off, set that aside, give her a much more clean look in her truck mode. You see a little bit of red on the back side of her cab section too. The bed itself is just stuffed with things she will need for transformation, and you can see her hips in there. So this is kind of where the illusion fades a little bit. Also, you can see her feet kind of on the undercarriage of the truck. But for the most part, it's not a bad rendition. Looks pretty nice, I don't mind it whatsoever. As I said, the ghost truck would have been interesting, but I can also see why they went with this, and ultimately, I do think I prefer this alt mode for her. So yeah, nice to see they actually did some pretty good work on it. So, all that said, let's transform, and we'll see if I can remember how to transform, because I picked this up, this came in a bit ago. So, my buddy Zeltrax actually found this for me. I had to actually ask someone online to help search for it because my area is just complete drought of Earthspark anything. No one's getting it in stock, even though this is super hot wave. But, it is what it is. Okay. Alright, I am going to start by unplugging all of this from the rear that will form the legs. I'm going to go ahead and swing those out to get them out of the way. I'm going to go onto the underside so we can start disconnecting the arms from the top. I'll also have to disconnect out from here. These are tabbed in here and here, but I find I have better luck sliding them into place than I do pushing them in and trying to actually get the clip to work. So I will slide those out from the bottom to get our arms stretched out to the side like that. And then we're going to have to start folding things up here. I go folding that double hinge down till it touches the windshield. Open this up. Now, see the little black? That is her other accessory. It's one of those accessory storages that you have to remember to do during transformation. And I hate those because I always forget them. But yeah, it does store it nice and secure, but it also means you can't get it in there during vehicle mode if you happen to forget it. So keep that in mind. You've got to remember it. Go ahead and clip that into place. Go ahead and make sure that back snaps together. We go down here to the feet. Straighten that up. Rotate the foot like so. Do the same thing over here. Make sure everything's nice and straight down there. Lowering the arms into place. You want to make sure the biceps are all the way to the front. That way they have a nice look to them. Flip out the hands and then fold in. So the door section will collapse around the forearm. And that's pretty much your transformation. Good to go. And I did not center this correctly. All right. The transformation does have a few neat tricks to it to unfold her into the robot mode, which is nice. There's nothing terribly tricky or like new about how it transforms. She's just a pretty efficient transformer. Now, like I said, if you see similarities between this and her warrior class figure, don't worry, we have all double checked this. This really is a completely new mold. It will have similarities because, well, there's only so many ways you can render her transformation. But it does turn out a pretty nice robot. She's got a little bit of a backpack, but it folds pretty flat against her, so I'm not really terribly concerned about it. And the doors do a good job of basically compiling onto her forearm. That means she keeps a pretty clean silhouette, despite having some kibble here and there. She wears it well, which is what we are going for here. That's what I like to see. Now, there is one spot where I really wish, and this is going to be weird for me, I kind of wish this was a normal deluxe because it would have had translucent plastic. And I know that's blasphemy. I have taught you all to reject clear plastic. But in this case, I must insist. I like the head sculpt on her. I think it could have been smiling more because that's a little bit closer to her actual characterization. Is it more happy-go-lucky and carefree in tone? But it is what it is. The bigger concern for me is that visor and the fact that I cannot see her eyes. I do think it takes away a lot of the character, because it is very clear that that visor is supposed to be like an overhead HUD display. You know, it's supposed to be like her Jarvis, for lack of a better term. So, yeah, seeing it like this, where it's just solid, painted over, can't see her eyes, you kind of lose that whole like visor effect that it's supposed to have. It's not the best look. I mean, it gets the character across, but it's not great. I really wish they had just... I honestly think I would have just preferred go without the visor and just show the face. So the head sculpt is a little bit disappointing. They do put in her ponytail, and they do put in her antenna, and that's an asymmetrical little element, and I do like when they do that. Collar is interesting, too, with the big spikes coming out of it. Now, I am aware that there will be some inaccuracies to this. Interestingly enough, one of the weird things to me is the fact that the blue on her chest, which is supposed to be supposedly part of her windshield in design, theoretically, is not. This is a faux part, obviously, but it's a different shade of blue, and that blue doesn't appear anywhere else on the toy, which makes it a little bit weird. Coloring, you've seen most of what you are going to get. Then you can see why the shoulders were actually well painted, is because they're a major feature of the robot mode as well. You do get silver on the midsection, though, and some black for the pelvis. The legs, I really could have used a little bit of paint, because there are some good details in there. That's a little bit disappointing. Oh, this is like it's a deluxe class for Earthspark. It's one of those that's just going to be great for customizers to kind of mess with. And just see what they can come up with, because yeah, it's a little bit underwhelming as far as the the paint job on this one, especially after Soundwave. I thought Soundwave did a lot better. Okay, So let me run down articulation real quick before we get into the accessories of the toy itself. She does have a ball jointed head, so that's 360 degrees as well as up and down. She has ball joints for the shoulders as well as a kind of a hinge joint there in the torso. You can raise those up as well. So yeah, she's got ball joint movement. I will admit the shoulder piece does block a lot of it, so that's going to limit things. No bicep rotation, but she does have a ball jointed elbow, so that gives you some rotation that you need. And that, of course, gives you a 90-degree bend as well. Nothing really in the wrist. There's an up and down hinge from transformation, but you can't really do anything with it. Nothing in the waist. Her transformation and her kibble gets in the way of that. She does have a ball jointed thigh, which has plenty of range of motion. You get 360 degrees at the thigh itself. And then 90-degree knee bend, ankle tilt, which is also ball jointed, so lots of room there. So compared to Soundwave, on the lower end of Deluxe articulation level, which is unfortunate, but they can't all have great articulation, or else the ones who do wouldn't stand out, I guess. It's not a surprise. This design does have a lot of work to do, just getting a truck to turn into a female transformer. But I do think it does a commendable job of it. I like the overall look, even if it does stunt the articulation a little bit. Now, we do have some weaponry options that we can actually use here. So, for starters, there is her pickaxe / bowgun, however you want her to hold it. So, she can hold it. She can hold it by the bottoms, like she's about to drop it in Fortnite. Or you can just have her hold it like a standard weapon. Which, okay, that's fine. That's fine. That works for me. And then you get the other little pistol that was hiding in her back. Not the most exciting of designs, but hey, you do get 2 weapons on her, which is a little bit different for a Earthspark toy. So, yeah, I like the accessory plate going on here. I wish there was something more akin to, like, a tech device that was an accessory for her, rather than, you know, what is obviously some form of weaponry, because, frankly, like, she's not all that combat centric. Like, she's kind of like the team hacker. She kind of handles things in a different way. So the accessories are a little bit odd, but you know what? At least it gives you something to mess with and play with, I guess. And I will say there is a port on the back of her, which can actually hold on to that if you know, just in case you do not want her for whatever reason to have that weapon. You can store it away on her back. Though that does give her like this weird, I don't know. You make your own joke. You make your own joke for this visual. I'm just going to, I'm going to give her the pickaxe back. I'm going to give her the pickaxe back. There she goes. There she goes. And that, my friends, is going to be your Deluxe class hashtag. She is not as good as Soundwave. Because Soundwave just tends to be, like, just seems to be, like, the standout of the entire line. But the toy itself is still pretty good for an Earthspark Deluxe. Considering these are budgeted, these are cheaper than a standard Generations Deluxe, she is still not doing a bad job. Articulation could be better, but that's what it is. At least the kibble and management is okay, and the transformation, I think, is actually pretty good. Making her, I'd say, above average for this line. So, yeah, if you find the Soundwave, maybe give her a consideration. She is definitely does not deserve to be left on a peg somewhere. So, that is the review. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday / early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.